Hello and welcome to the Penalty Box Perspective podcast. My name is Nathaniel, and thank the heavens, I'm joined once again by my good friend Matt. How are you doing today?
Yeah, back in the room, mate. Yeah, I thought you did really well, really well. Kind of, reminded me as like when like a duck is sat on the water and it looks like it's just bobbing around, but under the water, its legs are just absolutely kicking for its life. But no, thought you did well. You sounded good. But I'm sure internally you were flapping. But no, you did great, mate. But yeah, apologies for not being able to make the last one. Like Nathaniel said, I just got tied up at work and just wasn't able to make it, I'm afraid. But we are back. Bit of a change in format. Obviously, with the Olympics going on at the moment, we're going to be doing, potentially. Well, we'll see how the games play out. But certainly in these preliminary stages and through the group stages, we're going to be trying to drop a podcast each day to kind of run everything down. But day one of the Olympic hockey for the men's anyway, and we've already seen our first big upset.
Yeah, we have indeed, and it's so weird watching it. I don't know whether you get this feeling as well. It feels different to the NHL games. Just I don't know whether it's because of there's lack of mass advertising and things like that. But it's kind of like it's like backyard hockey almost, but it's being played by like big professionals. It's just great. It's really good fun to watch.
Yeah, it is, and I think especially for those obviously watching in the UK, we don't get the sort of US broadcast package, so there's an English commentator doing the hockey, and it's they will still use all like the hockey vernacular, but it just sounds so strange coming out of an English commentator's mouth. So yeah, it's been good fun. I've really enjoyed it, and I think these first, certainly the first game for all of these teams, it's all just going to be about kind of figuring out, how everyone, obviously they're playing with players that they don't regularly play with, and I'm sure there'll be a little bit of figuring out to do on the fly. But been really entertaining so far. So 2 games from day one that we're going to run through.
Yes. So weirdly, I'd always expect the host country to play the opening game. That's not exactly what happened. But we led off with Slovakia against Finland. Obviously, my ultra competitive, probably unnecessarily competitive nature had me cheering on Slovakia purely for the fact that you supported Finland and I've taken Sweden as kind of our underdogs. And I wasn't let down.
No, it was a really disappointing showing from Finland. When their kind of lineup came out, I thought on paper I was like, yeah, it looks really quite good. Obviously, it can't be understated how much they're missing Barkov, but I thought they still kind of looked, decent on paper, and then Slovakia came out and just and blew them away, and what a game from Juraj Slavkovsky as well. Obviously, I would say probably Slovakia's kind of their best player. Certainly kind of their most premium player, and he showed up at at the right time, getting 2 goals and an assist as well in a 4-1 win. But yeah, a bit of a stuttering start from Finland. And do we think that did Finland play badly in your view, or was Slovakia just that much better?
And this is the thing, I think potentially Finland were the better team on the day, believe it or not. Obviously, it's a 4-1 scoreline. It's quite heavy one-sided, but it was 1-1 going into the third period. They get a goal, like through Dvorsky, and go 2-1 up. And then it sort of spirals from there. There's a delay of game penalty for Mira Heiskanen, and Slavkovsky scores on a power play. And then all of a sudden, obviously, it goes into not panic mode, but you go ultra attacking, don't you? It's like the old FIFA games where you're behind an ultimate team, so you just stick it on ultra attack and your goalkeeper goes up and then you concede from the halfway line. But then score an empty net, so yeah, it is 4-1, it's on paper, but I think, and this is a theme that's running through this first day of the Olympic Games, there are some tasty young goaltenders who are making a big splash already in this tournament, and if it continues, then
I'm going to give you an opportunity to rephrase that before we delve into this. Are you sure that's the descriptive line you want to roll with there?
We're making a big splash.
No, I was more tasty young goaltenders. I was thinking, but like exciting prospects in the
Exciting. Tasty
goaltending
young
department.
goaltenders.
We'll maybe go with that.
Oh, we're
Well,
talking
yeah,
about hockey.
we'll stick with it.
We'll stick with it. Stick the landing. We'll stick the landing. Yeah, well, we'll start with obviously Slovakia's goaltender. Decent prospect he is. And guess what team he plays for?
Well, until about 10 minutes ago, Minnesota. I had no idea. Didn't realize. I assume he plays in Iowa, in the AHL. But yeah, kind of good for him to be getting the call, and came out and performed brilliantly on his in their first game, stopping 39 of 40 shots. So that's not a bad day at the office for whatever his name is.
You telling me you don't know his name? It's Samuel.
Lavage.
If you didn't get that, it's Samuel.
Lavage.
Yeah.
Lavage.
Yeah,
I'll take that. I'll take that.
I'm gonna take that. Just bring it back to the NHL. I think if he has a great tournament, and it only then boosts up the Wallstead trade cycles for a first line centre for Minnesota. If he can play like that as a decent backup goaltender, then great stuff. But yeah, what a performance by him! Big save percentage. He was flying around all over the crease and pulls out all the stops, and Slovakia gets the result, which really sets Finland on the back foot, because, as I said in the preview, this group, you got a chance to win it. Obviously, that game against Sweden that's coming up is going to be really pivotal for them.
Yeah, it is. It is. They've kind of left it all to do, really. Losing that first game, it just sets you off on the on the wrong foot, doesn't it? And they're going to have to kind of pick their heads up and go again and find a way to pull out a result in the next game. Otherwise, they could be looking for an early flight back to Finland. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think they maybe didn't have the best puck luck. I mean, like you said, Heiskanen getting called on the delay of game penalty, which I always kind of feel like so many times when a delay of game penalty is called, like it's just completely by accident from the player who's committed it. If they've just flipped the puck out and it's like gone over the glass, for example, from their own defensive end, and they get called on it, and then obviously Slavkovsky goes and scores on the was it Slavkovsky who scored on that on the power play, was it? Yeah, to make it 3-1.
Yeah, it was.
And then at that point, it's you're 2 goals behind. You've got to start kind of throwing caution to the wind. You end up pulling your goalie, and they wrap up the one of the most bizarre empty net goals I've ever seen. It was an absolute. Did you see the empty net goal?
I didn't actually. I mean, I watched the first 2 periods and I missed the third.
It was an absolute kind of calamity. So he ends up. I can't remember which player it was who kind of ends up on the breakaway, on an empty net chance. The defenseman kind of ends up tying him up. He drops his stick, so the attacker's literally got he's through on an empty goal, but he's got no stick. Now he can't kick it into the net, so he's kind of pivoting on the spot, trying to side foot it to someone who's there, and it ends up being a massive melee around the net, and kind of amongst everyone blocking it and swiping at the puck, it just kind of trickles in. It's the messiest empty net goal you've ever seen. But it wrapped up the victory for the Slovakians. So yeah, great result for them.
They must be buzzing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so they'll have kind of Italy and Sweden to play. Obviously, they played in the later game. I was kind of with you in the aspect of I think we're probably used to the home nation opening, but I think that the timings, obviously the kind of Slovakia-Finland game was played kind of around midday, whilst the Sweden-Italy game was played around kind of just before, I think, it was 3:40 puck drop, I think, in the UK. Was it?
It was 8 o'clock, 10 past 8 puck drop for Italy, Sweden, sorry. And then it was 3:30 for the
Yeah.
Slovakia
So
Finland game. But I
it
mean, if
was
you're playing it for the Americas, then
yeah,
obviously
yeah. So my timings are all over the spot because I keep seeing the timings from like the NHL website, and then going, wait, hang on, no, that's for the US and Canada, and then obviously we've got our timings here, but then the time's different in Italy, and it's like, but I think they wanted to have Italy and kind of like the, like television prime time game. You know what I mean? Where it's going to have the most
yeah,
eyeballs on it, and just moving into the Sweden Finland game, I was super impressed with the Italians. I mean, when you covered them off in the in the preview, and look, we know why they're there. They're there as the host nation. Would they have maybe got in if they weren't the host nation? Probably not. Or certainly less likely. And I thought they gave a really strong account of themselves. I thought they battled the Swedes hard. I thought they got under the Swedes' skin, and for a large portion of that game, they were right in it, right up until kind of midway through the third period when Nylander got the go-ahead goal. But the biggest name coming out of that, I mean, you highlighted him as kind of the only Italian kind of drafted NHL player currently playing in the NHL. Goaltender Damian Clara, 6'7" tall, an absolute giant, and he was playing out of his mind, making saves that you would be stunned if like Connor Hellebuck made. He was playing so well, just stopping absolutely everything. They got the go-ahead goal, did Sweden. Clara unfortunately got hurt and ended up having to leave the game early, and then Sweden kind of wrapped up the final two goals there, kind of late in the third, and ultimately the talent did prevail. But I thought it was certainly a gutsy performance from the Italians.
yeah. They did. It was gutsy. I think inevitable result in the end. So to say how the difference in quality between Slovakia and Italy are when they go up against sort of Finland and Sweden. But Sweden had 60 shots on goal in this game. Typically, you'd see sort of 30-ish is kind of the mark where you think you've had a decent shot game, and they had 60 shots on Italy's net. So despite them scoring 5 goals, they still had a 932 save percentage to Italy, which is insane. But I think that is exactly the game Italy would have hoped for. I don't think they would have expected anything better than what they did. So they're going to be very, very happy about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And look, I'm sure the Swedish team aren't under sort of any grand illusions of, we're going to try and make a medal run or anything like that. They are a weaker hockey nation. They're in they're in quite a tough group, all things considered. You've got Sweden and Finland, two of the kind of 4 big nations, and then Slovakia, who I think kind of jostle with Czechia for that kind of 5th spot. I certainly think sort of them and Czechia are kind of 5 and 6. So, they're in quite a tough group, really. And I think what they just would have wanted was you're on home ice, you're in front of your own fans, go out there, play a respectable performance, something that's going to, get the fans excited. And basically, I mean, if Sweden had pumped them 8-1 or something like that, that would have been a very different tone. But they hung in there right up until the end, and I think they could walk off the ice at the end of the game with their with their heads held high.
Yeah. A bit on Sweden. Obviously they've got a deep roster and they carry more players on at game time than they do in the NHL. But Oliver Ekman-Larsson didn't get a single second on the ice in that game, and Philip Forsberg as well. And he managed, I think it was like 1 shift as well. Obviously, you'd expect maybe against Italy they might have rotated a bit more and played players sort of further down the lineup, but they kind of just rolled with the first and second lines, third lines.
Yeah, well, I think the thing was they had Italy kind of hemmed in their own zone so much that your third line might usually be kind of like your checking line, and your fourth line might be your kind of match-up line, but really they had all the possession in Italy's kind of in Italy's zone, So I think it was just a case of where they could just roll the kind of first and second line, maybe the third line when needed, just to kind of keep the pressure on. And you could start to see, in that third period up until Nylander scored, the Swedes were getting worried, man. I mean, the Italians were getting right under their skin, frustrating them, and when Nylander scored, there was barely any celebration from the Swedes. I think it was just a big sigh of relief, I think. And once they took the lead, I didn't see sort of any way back for Italy at that point, because Italy were going to have to come out and really go for it at that point, which obviously was always going to leave them sort of somewhat exposed. And then obviously Zibanejad then getting the fourth, and Hedman then finishing on the empty netter. But Rasmus Dahlin with 3 assists in that first game, so a really, really good start to the tournament for him.
Yeah. So before we move into, we'll quickly cover what games are going to be played on the second day of Olympic hockey. I just wanted to mention the uniforms. Sweden and Finland's uniforms are beautiful.
They
and
are.
I wish, I don't know what it is, whether it's I don't know what it is, but it just seems so much cleaner than some of the NHL teams' kits.
Yeah, they really are, and I think I want to say it's maybe CCM who make the Olympic jerseys. I could be wrong, but they were super clean. And to be fair, the Italians as well, with the kind of the white jerseys with the kind of red, white, and green stripes on the socks, I just thought looked super cool, super clean. Really, really good, and it's it looks good out on there. I know there were concerns about the size of the ice, but I mean, I didn't really notice any difference. It doesn't look visibly smaller. I think it's maybe like a couple of feet shorter than an NHL rink is. So they just took a couple of feet out the neutral zone, I think, which isn't kind of a massive issue. The ice seemed to hold up. The officiating seemed to hold up. We got through the first day of Olympic hockey for the men especially without any really contentious refereeing decisions. So hopefully, it carries on that way.
Yeah. It's a good start to the Olympic ice hockey tournament. I definitely say so, and I mean, great Olympics so far as well. I love the Winter Olympics. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I do.
I don't know, there's an element of danger with everything.
Yeah, and I do think I prefer it to the summer games. I mean, there are certain aspects of the summer games that I really like. I really like the like the weightlifting and things like that. I find that incredibly entertaining. But I just think the winter games, you just see so many. I think especially for like a UK audience. I mean, we would never see like a luge anywhere else, or like curling or anything like that. And I don't know, I just find myself getting so invested. Like, I was watching the women's doubles in the luge. It was the first Olympic Games ever where they've had where they've had doubles with females. And Italy taking the gold medal home on kind of home ice tube death trap course. I mean, it's so crazy. Like, there's certain camera angles that you see of like things like the luge and the bobsled and kind of things like that, and they don't really look like they're going that fast. And then they cut to another camera angle, and it's like Jesus fucking Christ! Like,
it's ridiculous.
They're, like on the two athlete, they were hitting corners at like 125 kilometers an hour. It's just like, I mean, God knows what happens if you come off it.
You see the clip of the Americans, they failed. That was getting in. They failed to get in, and they were all like rolling down.
Is that when they all started like, not like fighting each other afterwards, but they were like certainly they certainly all fell out a little bit after that, I think.
Somebody messed up.
Yeah, so sure. Someone fucked up, didn't do their job, and I love that, and I love that. We've got 3 weeks of this, and I'm here for it. It's basically on my TV in the background all day. But the luge, the figure skating, the curling, the hockey, I'm here for all of it.
For me, the difference is in the Winter and the Summer Olympics is that in the Summer Olympics you get they run sort of 15-20 meters and then jump into a sandpit, whereas the Winter Olympics they like ski down a massive slope for 500 meters and then fling themselves off a ramp and fly through the air to monitor to find out how far they can jump.
Yeah.
It's just like
it's just mental. Really, really tough though. Seeing the I don't know if you saw the kind of accident that happened in the with the female skier downhill. Yeah, that was really rough. So having to get kind of airlifted out of there. But again, like she like tore her ACL, ruptured her ACL like a week before, and was still like, yeah, no, I'm still gonna go down. I'm still gonna give it a go, and unfortunately, it kind of backfired a little bit for her. But a massive Stones of the Week goes to her for for even giving it a go. So massive props there, and I'm just absolutely loving every second. We've got 4 games on today. At the time of recording, we're gonna cover this more in tomorrow's little pit stop. But the Swiss have beaten the French 4-0, I believe. Is that full time 4-0?
Full time 4-0, as
Shut
expected. Really,
shut out for the Swiss. We've then got at 3:30 p.m. UK time. We have Czechia against Canada. That's going to be absolute box office. We've then got Latvia against the USA at 8 p.m. as well as Germany Denmark. So the kind of battle of the deli meat commences in that one. The salami wars.
the peppered sausage.
So some good games there. I'm going to catch the Canada game. The USA game should be potentially quite a rudimentary victory for them. I mean, the Latvians are gritty, and they will go out there to try and be as disruptive as possible. They've got that Latvia have that absolute Clem who plays on the Panthers, don't they? The one who
Valinskis and Vilinis, the one who hit McAvoy.
The one who hit McAvoy, yeah, absolute cock. But he's on that.
He's going to go up against McAvoy now, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think McAvoy might try and take his head off.
If I'm honest, I was going to watch Germany-Denmark over USA-Latvia, because I think Germany-Denmark are going to be a really, really close game, and could make or break one of these teams getting out of the groups. But I might keep a side eye on some scraps in the other game, maybe.
Well, I'll watch the USA game. You watch the Germany game, and we'll reconvene.
Yeah.
That is the penalty box perspective Olympic coverage. That's what you're getting here, guys. Awesome stuff. So, shorter pods. We're going to be kind of working in a shorter term format. We're going to be, kind of trying to bring you as much content over the Olympic break. If there is any news that comes out around the NHL sort of over that time, we'll cover that off as well. But I think the NHL's probably going to be pretty quiet over the next few weeks. Obviously, the roster freeze is on. There isn't going to be any trades or transactions. The players aren't even allowed to skate. I imagine there won't be much of anything. Won't be much of anything happening. But
just following the Gavin McKenna news, I think that's what's going to happen.
Yes.
On McKenna.
Yeah. So after our episode covering that, again, I don't know if you saw, but the decision was made on the felony charge that the victim of that was withdrawing the charge. Yeah. So the charge was withdrawn.
It's all looking like there's going to be a big, hefty settlement. That's what's coming in it.
Yeah, I think so. And I think from what I understand, McKenna's. Oh, you'll probably know this. The agreement in place that allows NCAA athletes to get paid. It's like it's a 3-letter acronym. I can't remember what it is. But yeah, I think McKenna basically makes about $700,000 a year from playing at Penn State. He's also got his endorsement deal with Spittin' Chicklets and everything like that. So I'm sure he will probably have to pay quite a hefty settlement to this guy. I think the minor charges are still sitting for now, and they may get brought around. But certainly, as far as the felony As far as the felony charges go, that has gone, more or less gone away. Interestingly enough, just before we wrap up, interesting listening to Elliot Friedman talk on 32 Thoughts, about what had happened, and having a couple of texts with certainly like scouts around the league saying that actually this incident from McKenna is probably going to make teams more interested in him, because because I think there was a little bit
handle his shit.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think there was a little bit of a notion to Gavin McKenna before that, like, he was maybe a bit soft, and maybe a little bit kind of evasive when it came to confrontation. Whilst I think this has gone to show that, if someone messes with someone he cares about, then he will stick up for that person. So I think there's a lot of teams now who are, a lot more excited about him than they were before. Because not only have you got, an elite playmaker and scorer, but also someone with, with a bit of grit within the confines of the law, hopefully. So yeah, that's where we're at on Gavin McKenna anyway. Cool. Right, anything further from yourself, Nathaniel, or shall we get out of here?
Let's get out of here. Let's get ready for Czechia.
Let's get ready for the Canada game. Yeah. Well, as always, guys, you can find us on X and Instagram at the PBP Podcast. You can also get in touch with us on Gmail at penaltyboxperspective@gmail.com. Got any thoughts or feelings on the show? We've had some good listener feedback recently. We're we're going to be doing a kind of post-Olympic break. We're putting together some content ideas. We've got some kind of fun ones lined up for our mini pods, especially. That'll be a good time. If you also want to drop us a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts as well, that means a lot to us. Honestly, you can write whatever you like in the review. Think me and Nathaniel are just a couple of dicks who don't know anything? Absolutely fine, but just make sure it's a 5-star review, because it really does push us up into the algorithm for other people. Trying to find Olympic hockey coverage, NHL coverage, hockey coverage from the UK, all of that good stuff. You can also listen to the podcast in audio format on our YouTube channel at Penalty Box Perspective. We'll be back tomorrow with some more NHL action for you. Until then, take it easy and thanks for being with us.